born to step lightly. That's what I'll do. Steer clear of tornadoes, they're bad for you. What is a tornado? It's something steals a life from you. They can be anywhere. Some people are heavy, driven and complex. Me, I'm happy to make it from one room to the next. All this pomp and scurry never done a thing for me. Me, I was born to be a dancer, gliding along life's open floor. Grab me a clothespin, clip on a smile. We only dance here for a little while. All this pomp and scurry never done a thing for me. Step lightly, that's the way I was born to be. Step lightly, whoa. Welcome to Boise Song Talk. I'm James Coberly Smith. Give me just a second, set this guitar down, please. Thank you. Tonight, we have a very special guest. He's one of the finest jazz composers and musicians you'll find anywhere in the world. He was born and raised in Boise, Idaho, and he spent a lot of time in his youth at the Idaho Hotel, where he became friends with the great jazz legend, Gene Harris. Our guest has over 100 compositions and many excellent albums. Interestingly, he did not come here tonight to play music. Instead, he has come to talk to us about a significant event that occurred in his life. Now, let's go over and meet tonight's special guest, Paul Tillotson.
James, beautiful song. Nice intro. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, I have to tell you, the first time I ever saw you play was at the Lock, Stock, and Barrel. Your piano playing was so joyful and so exciting because I and the rest of the people in the audience knew you were going places you hadn't been before. And you were taking us with you. And you'd take us right to the edge, and sometimes you'd take us over the edge, but you always brought us back alive. Recently, I saw you at the great Starry Story Night at Boise Contemporary Theater, Jessica Holmes' production. And you spoke about another event in your life that took you to the edge. And I wondered if you might give us some thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess tonight you can just call me the Hope Merchant.
Okay.
It's an idea for a song, actually.
Okay.
The Hope Merchant. And in December of 2011, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer that metastasized to my liver. And the prognosis was 10 months to live without chemo and 30 months to live with chemo. And I promptly asked the doctor, well, hey, come on now. That's it? And he said, that's it, we're going to make you comfortable. And I said, well, that doesn't really work for me. So I'm going to get a second opinion. And I did, and the doctor, the second opinion that I went to down at Stanford in California said, well, we don't give up on you guys. We can, if you can shrink those tumors, that's me, then we can do surgery and get you, buy you some time. And I said, well, that sounds like an option for me. That's better than no option. So I went to work on that, and I was able to, several surgeries later, and 10 rounds of chemo, and radiation, and everything you could have, I took it. And I shrunk the tumors, I had the surgeries, I did the process, and that was the American Medical Association process. And on top of that, I also worked with a Qigong energy healer who helped me create some frameworks to guide myself through what is called the process of good health, and it's something that I'm in now. At first, I was in the process of good health and chugging along, changing my diet, working on the 5 aspects of good health and the process of good health, those being physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and intuitive. And so he was a guide for me and helped me deal with all of the things that come along with prognosis, like, well, son, you're going to live for 30 months. I was like, well, that's not my story. So that came along with the, a bunch of ideas and rethinking and reworking what I do in my life, in my process of good life. And now I'm happy to say that I'm in the process of good health and gliding along, or now I'm flying along. I'm completely cancer-free, and I made that change in 22 months.
Wow.
So I haven't made it to 30, so on the 30th month, I might just drop dead, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So, against all odds, I did something that they didn't think was possible. So, I'm happy to be the hope merchant and sell a little bit of hope to anybody that's in my
Always
position,
good.
or was in my position, or is currently diagnosed with any kind of cancer. As long as you believe you can be better and do the work it takes, which is everything that you need to do. The main points being physical, which includes your diet and what you're eating and how you're living. Mental, which is just dealing with basically keeping your hopes up and your fears down, and all of the inroads and things that come along. I mean, it was a pretty big mountain of fear that they handed me when they said, well, you're going to live for 30 months, kid. That's the best we got for you. I was faced with a pretty large portion of fear, and I was able to, the more information I got about cancer and the more reading I did, I figured a lot of things out in the process of good health, which is, how our 100 trillion cells and this microorganism cloud that we're walking around in, how it all works and how your mind works with those cells. And when I looked at my insides, when I visualized my insides, I saw an orchard. And if you take care of the smallest fly, you're actually taking care of the universe. Hey, fly, be free.
We brought him here especially for the jazz guys.
Yeah,
we know
man.
you guys can handle anything. All right.
Stinky, greasy corns. So, anyhow, yeah. So the mental is where we were, and then you got your emotional work to do, which is just clearing out stored emotions. And it helps to have somebody to talk to every week. Somebody, hopefully a third party, if you've got somebody like that that you can go to and see, which was my healer, helped me work things out and put a framework on my progress and what I was doing. And a lot of times I'd come to him with, okay, listen, they want to take out 55% of my liver and my gallbladder. Do you think that's a good idea? And we'd have a long discussion about it and figure out the most elegant way to go to get me in the process of good health. And so when I made a decision, obviously I chose that would be the most elegant thing to do, so did that. And then when that cancer was biopsied, after they took out 55% of my liver and my gallbladder, and there was nothing wrong with the gallbladder, they just had to take it out, and I just had to know why you were taking it out, and the doctor didn't want to tell me. He was like, well, why do you want to know about that? It doesn't, it's just got to go. And I said, well, wait a minute. God gave me this gallbladder, and there's no cancer in that. I don't understand, And finally he said, well, it's hooked to the right lobe of your liver, and we're taking that out, so there's nothing for it to live on, so it's got to go too. Are you happy now? I said, well, that's all I needed to know, Doc.
Oh, doggone.
You know,
yeah.
you're taking out a few parts. I'd like to know which ones are coming and staying, and I appreciate you telling me that.
Yeah.
So that was the hardest part of my whole process, was that surgery. That was the most painful thing that I endured. And when I woke up from that one, I thought, you know, you guys want me to come back for a second surgery because they're going to take out a foot of my colon, where the original tumor was. And I said, well, that first one hurt so bad. I'm not coming back here. I could shrink tumors, and when they did the biopsy on the cancer that was in my liver, they found out that it was 99% dead. So I figured, well, I shrunk tumors, I killed that cancer, so I'm sure that the tumor in my colon's dead as well, so I'm not coming back. Then I left there and got 4 more rounds of chemo, and then had to go back and talk to the colon surgeon. And when I walked in, he knew what I was thinking, because he said, I know you don't want to have another surgery, but kid, you got to have this, because if you don't, it's substandard service, and you know, every colon surgeon in the country would say you should do this. And only one guy I know has walked away from it and been okay, but it would be substandard service, so I would recommend you do it. And you know, so I made that decision. So now I can tell people that I've literally had a foot taken out of my ass. I've had a foot taken out of my ass, and I'm here to tell you it's all right, kids. Yeah, I'm like that guy in the Leroy Brown tune, you know, Bad Leroy Brown. You know, the junkyard dog.
What happens to him? I forget.
Oh, he looked like the dog. Yeah, I messed with him, and he had a couple of pieces gone. And that's me. But it's okay. I'm all right. I got titanium now, man. I got things.
Yeah, you got titanium in you?
I got titanium. Oh, I got titanium.
Where's the titanium?
In the liver, you know. They had
Really?
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah, they have to staple that together. I think there's titanium there. I think there's actually titanium in my colon now as well.
Really?
24 staples, I believe, yeah.
Oh, I see. I didn't know.
You got 5 foot of colon, so leaving a foot behind it's okay. You're going to be all right. Good news is I don't have a colostomy bag. But that's not the end of the world either. I mean,
that's exactly right. You know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, my deal is that when I was first diagnosed, too, the doctor that diagnosed me said, listen, I don't have good news for you. You've got stage 4 colon cancer that's metastasized to your liver. And I said, well, how many stages are there? And he said, well, there's 4. I said, well, is 4 the worst or the best? He said, well, that's the worst. And I said, okay. So now what? What's my prognosis? And he says, well, I can't tell you that. I'm a surgeon. I'm not an oncologist, which was my beginning to all these terms, learning about cancer. And I said, okay. And he says, but I will tell you this. People that say they're going to put up a good fight don't do so well. But people that believe they're going to be better do pretty well. And so I said, well, Doc, I believe I'm going to be better. And he gave me the number of the healer. And he said, call this guy, because, you know, if my colleagues knew I was telling you this, they'd think I was crazy. But I've seen the results, and it works. So here I am, the results. It works. So, and ultimately, you know, when I met with the healer as well, his main job is to keep your hopes up and your fears down. And he was very good at that. In 2 weeks with him, I didn't have any more fear of cancer. And that's important, because you're sending out messages. Your brain is constantly sending out messages to all the 100 trillion cells in your body. And if you're scared, if you've got fear, cancer feeds on that, as well as it feeds on sugar. And so eliminating the sugar is a good thing to do for your physical part. And eliminating the fear is a really good thing to do for your mental and your emotional part, because you want to be sending out happy messages to all those 100 trillion cells. Hey, we're going to stay alive here. We're going to keep going. And that's how you believe. And then I asked for help. You know, I said, you know, God, I've gotten this far, and I know a little bit about the story, but I know that you know the rest. So please come on down here and help me out, because I'd like to live. And I made that choice. That's an important thing, too. When you're handed the death card, you can take it. I mean, that's an elegant way to go, because nobody's getting out of here alive. Or you can say, it's not my time yet. I choose to live. So I made that choice, and I made the connection. That's the spiritual part. And it's important because we are spirits in a body, not a body with a spirit. And so then what happens is you get some ideas about your diet, what you're doing right there. You're working out your mental state so that you're staying positive and being, you know, cancer's a great equalizer. It drops everything that's not important for me. And the things that became very important was my relationship with my wife and my new daughter and my family and God, Goddess, and all that is. And just being present and being here. And it's very centering. When you think you're going to be dead in 30 months or 20 months or 10 months or whatever, you lose all the baggage in a hurry and get down to what's important. A lot of people ask me through the cancer, you know, are you writing songs? Are you playing the piano for release? And actually, I didn't play for a year. All my energy was focused on healing my liver and my colon. And my diet actually helped me move energy from digestion. I'm sure we've all had meals, probably most of the meals that I ate, after I ate them, I felt really tired. And that's pretty typical because we eat very high calorie diets and very low nutrition. And I was a meat eater. I ate bacon in the morning and hamburgers at lunch and ribeye at night. It was great. I don't eat meat anymore. I eat a lot of, I say to people now, you know, if it grows in the earth, eat it. If it walks on the earth, wave at it.
Nice.
That's for me. And this is my process. I've heard of other people that have cured cancer by getting their fishing pole and going fishing. For me, it was a discipline of eating the right foods and supplements and following the American Medical Association and getting Qigong energy healing and meditating and focusing all my energy on healing.
Okay, see, now that you mentioned the Qigong energy and what I thought was interesting, Paul, when I heard you speak at there were so many things I thought were interesting. Everything you've said is interesting. Is that I thought it was interesting combination that you put together as you proceeded, meaning you were listening to the AMA concepts, the doctor concepts, but you had a healer and who was a hope merchant.
Absolutely.
And you are now. And the two of you together would sometimes, and I'm sure your wife, would have to make these decisions. Here comes this, well, what do we do? Which is the right thing? And I think you sort of did a combination of things. You did all the things with the 5 elements you pointed out.
And I continue to do it. Because good health isn't a destination. You don't arrive and all of a sudden, I'm healthy. You have to work on it every day. It's just like you had mentioned, that's my advice for musicians too. Practice 20 minutes a day. Every day. Because that's what makes the movement. If you skip a day or you skip 2 days or a week or a month, then you're back where you started when you come back to it. But if you look at it every day, and you can ask for help too there, you know. Hey God, I know how to play a little bit. Come on down and help me out. It's amazing. If you ask for the help from the universe, you get it. And that's how it works. That's what I found. So for me, that's how it works.
So that was your advice for musicians would be to play 20 minutes a day. That's really cool. You're right. I was going to ask you, being the jazz, this is so amazing having you on the show and not having you playing, because that's so magical watching you do that.
Thanks.
But a lot of people already know what you do, and this is where you're bringing something else. You'd said something a little bit ago about, well, I didn't end up with a colostomy bag, but then you said, but that wouldn't be totally bad either. And that's right. It's because then you're just, this is where you are now. Right? This is where your boat is now.
Exactly.
I mean, you're glad you don't have that, but you would have to spiritually adapt to that situation.
Yeah, I have, in my neighborhood, I have 4 stage 4 colon, not colon, but stage 4 cancer survivors. And one of them has a colostomy bag, one of them survived leukemia, another one tumors in every part of his body, you know, like, it's amazing. All these people believe they could be better, and so they've done it. And each one's passed through, or is passing through this life in their own grace, you know, however that might be. And the one with the colostomy bag, actually, at a party one time, I watched this person look at other people, and I could see, you know, I'm in the middle of my process of this journey of this cancer, and I'm doing chemo, and I know that she's been through it, and I know all the stuff, you know, though I know all the background. And I'm looking at her, and she's smiling at other people, and I'm thinking, man, if anybody on the planet had something that they could kind of be miserable about, it would be this person. And that's not what happened. You know, what happens is when you're faced with it, when you're at that edge and you get, you know, you're about to be pushed off, and you look at how amazing this life is and what a miracle it is every second. I looked at her, and I saw her seeing the face of God in everybody's face. You know, she's smiling, she's seeing it. God likes to play a little game with herself. She likes to look into another pair of eyes and pretend they belong to someone else. It's all an illusion. I'm pretty out there probably for most folks, but I think that
so.
It's what I know now. You know, I know that all of this is passing, and that my spirit it's eternal, and it goes on forever, and it's part of the universe, and it's part of what all energy is made up out of, and it can be changed. So that brings us and me to the next topic, which is life is a dream. And it just feels so real. And in that sense, I believe that like a dream that you have when you're sleeping, and cool things can happen, but you wake up and go, geez, I wish I would have maybe completed whatever I was in the middle of in that dream, because it looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. And we all pull out of it, kind of like, oh. And then you wake up and go, yeah, it's just a dream, I could have done it. Well, it's the same. It's only better in this dream when you wake up, because you really do have an impact. You affect the entire universe with everything you do, because you're part of it. Every little thing, every act of kindness, every little move, you're moving energy in the whole universe. So make your dream the one you want.
You had mentioned when we were talking the
Dream
other,
a little dream for me.
Yeah, you had mentioned the other day when we were speaking briefly on the phone, you said it's sort of what you mentioned, that maybe all the great world religions say, they just say it differently, but it's that essence that you're taught, that you were saying is almost, if you look into them closely there.
Yeah, there's a great song, Love is My Religion.
Okay.
It's a great thing, you know, you just put love first in everything you do, and then you're really sending out a good mojo into the universe, which is coming right back to you. Because ultimately you're treating yourself to that.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I did was I visualized a lot of Pac-Man eating cancer. I visualized my universe, this body, being an orchard, and there was a little bit of the orchard that had to go. Out of 100 trillion cells, I had about 500 billion that had to go. So when the chemo came in, it was like a garbage truck. And I said, hey, fellas, you know, they're like workers. The cancer is like a worker that shows up on the job site ready to go. And he's looking around. There's no foreman. There's no plans. And the other guys are looking around like, what are we going to do? And they say, well, you know, because those cancer cells are missing a few pieces. They're successful in the fact that they can grow really fast, and they figured out a different way to eat. And they don't live like the other cells. They got their own thing going on. And in that, they are hanging out there, and the workers are looking at each other, and the cancer guys, and they say, well, I think there's supposed to be a fireplace over here. So let's take the cushions off this couch and nail them on the wall. There you go, there's a fireplace. And then it's like, okay, looks pretty good. Now what do we do? Well, I'm hungry. And so they just punch a hole in the wall and go over to the next apartment and pull out some chow, you know, and they're eating away. And none of those things are really good for me. So I said to those guys, well, thanks for showing up. Don't do anything. I'm sending you a message. Don't do anything. You showed up. Now, see those chemo garbage trucks over there? Just get on board and you're done here. And there's a place for cancer, maybe on Mars or Venus or some other planet, but not in here. And so I moved it out, a little bit at a time.
Paul, on your website, I'm going to quote what you have on there. It says, "My mission is to play great improvised music, deeply touching the souls of audiences around the world, spreading the joy that is created while making music that comes from love." My question is, did you write that before or after this cancer event?
Way before.
See, and that's what's, see, I didn't feel that you had to do a major, on the 5 points, the spiritual or the one of those, I'm not sure which one it was, but I didn't feel that you must have had to make a big leap because, to say that, and when I watch you play music, it was always that joy. So I wondered, did you feel that your music is different after this?
It is. I think I have a lot more ability to pay attention to details.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is the big separator from someone who plays pretty good and someone who plays like a master. The master knows how to pay attention to details and really get inside of it. And I learned watching Gene Harris. I saw him play probably over 300 times.
Wow.
And that man's love for the music and the detail, it's recorded. I mean, you can't miss it. But seeing it live every night, every note, there was never an off night. There was never a bad note. There was never anything short of looking at God, man. I mean, this guy is the man. And I didn't know that when I first was exposed to him. I was a high school kid here at Bora High, and I'd go down and sip a Coke in the lobby of the Idaho and hang out and listen to Gene. I had no idea what I was listening to until I left. And I heard some other people play piano that were really great. And I'd come home and see Gene and go, wow, this guy's really good. And then I'd go away and see some more people. And I'd come back and go, whoa, this guy's great. And then I'd go away and I'd come back, and finally I realized, man, I was sitting with the master the whole time. And that love that he created and the way that he could rule a room every time he played and bring you to that fire and bring you to the essence of what we are, the spirit, was a blessed thing. And I got to see it and witness it firsthand, primary source. And he was really great. Sharing that with us.
Well, Gene would want you to have your piano here, but since you don't,
play a tune for us, will you, man?
We're going to have to scat sing this one, buddy.
All right. Do it again, man. I'm so cancer-free, baby. Well, thank you very much. Come again. We'll be here every Friday night.
Paul Tillotson.
James, baby.